Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, everyone. Allow me to introduce Dr. Basil Al-Sadhan, the Deputy Secretary General of Gifted Services for the King Abdulaziz and his Companions Foundation for Giftedness and Creativity, Mawhiba. تفضل دكتور.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone here in the room and all over the globe. My name is Basil Al-Sadhan. I'll be talking today about utilizing education technology in the pandemic, continued global excellence, and preparing our students for the future. Mainly, I'll be talking about Mawhibas Response to the pandemic and delivering its programs. This is the outline of the talk. First, I'll be giving a brief about King Abdulaziz and his Companions Foundation for Giftedness and Creativity, Mawhiba, so that you would be able to follow what's the programs about that we deliver. We'll talk about Mawhiba's role in fostering gifted children in Saudi Arabia. After that, I'll be explaining one of the main programs that we deliver, which is the Mawhiba Academic Enrichment Programs. Then I'll be talking about Mawhiba's response to the pandemic and how it delivered its programs during the COVID-19 with learned lessons. I will finish by talking about continued global excellence and preparing our students for the future. So King Abdulaziz and his Companions Foundation for Giftedness and Creativity, Mawhiba. Mawhiba is the short name for our organization, which means in Arabic giftedness. It's mainly focusing on identifying gifted students in the primary and secondary school and nurturing them and fostering them through several programs. It was initiated or established in 1999, so around 21 years ago. We've been through several strategies. Right now we're at Mawhiba 3, strategy number 3, which is about excellence and enablement, which started last year for 5 years. Our vision is to enable giftedness and creativity as the main contribution to the advancement of humanity. The mission is to provide an inspirational environment to giftedness and creativity and promote passion for science and knowledge in the development of future leaders. Mawhiba is a national organization, however, with a global outlook. 1 year ago in Paris at the UNESCO, we have signed a letter of intent with the UNESCO. You could see in the picture His Excellency, the Secretary General of Mawhiba and the Deputy Director General of the UNESCO. We signed a letter of intent during the Mawhiba UNESCO Forum for STEM Education. You could see at the photos below the photos of that forum. And right now we're in negotiations regarding launching a program to foster gifted students in the world. Among the programs we did with UNESCO, which was just last month, the Brazzaville webinar, 5 of Mawhiba alumni students, these are students who benefited from Mawhiba's programs, and now they have their own startups. They consulted 53 Congolese scholars on different aspects in chemical reactions, in software, in medical devices. You could see these are pictures from the talk, screenshots, as well as the Congolese delegate at the UNESCO talking about it, and also the Mawhiba alumni Twitter account talking about that. We also were recognized as an associated European talented center by the European network of talented people. This is the certificate. This was around 1.5 months ago. If I could ask the director to show the slides in the screen in front of me, I would appreciate that. Fostering gifted children in Saudi Arabia. This is our main role at Mawhiba. We have one main program at Mawhiba, which is the National Program for Gifted Student Identification. This program is a main program because it's the main entrance to a program for the rest of our programs. It consists of the Mawhiba Multiple Cognitive Aptitude Test, MMCAT, which is a test that was established 11 years ago that consists of 4 areas, or tests the students from 4 areas. The mental flexibility, the mathematical and spatial inference, the scientific and mechanical inference, and linguistic inference, and reading comprehension. It consists of a filtration process to nominate the student, testing, and then qualifying students. It is directed to students from the 3rd to the 10th grade, and the parent or the teacher can, or the student himself or herself could nominate themselves to take the test. During the last years, this is the statistics we have. The green represents those who were nominated, the blue those who did the test, and the orange those who were qualified. Overall, over the last years, we had 550,000 students who were nominated, and more than 400,000 who took the test, and more than 133 who were qualified. This program is a joint effort between Mawhiba and the Ministry of Education and Qiyas, which is the National Assessment Center here in Saudi Arabia. Now, those who were qualified are the ones who are qualified to take our programs. Not all of our programs requires this test, but the majority do. And one of the main programs that we offer for students, it's the biggest in terms of number of participant students, is the Mawhiba Academic Enrichment Program. So this program is tailored and directed to gifted students. Over the past years, we conducted more than 500 programs, and more than 33,000 students benefited from this program. Now, this program, typically it's done in class, whether in a partner university or a partner school. The main goals of the program is to help students find their passion and share their future, guide talented students on how they can develop their skills in the field of science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, and also build the students' social and personal skills. This is the curricula we have. These are samples of the books. It covers 4 main paths. The first one is biomedical and chemical sciences. The second one is physics, earths, and astronomy. The third is engineering sciences, and the fourth is applied computer science and applied math. They're divided into 3 levels. Level 1 covers the grades 3, 4, and 5, 3rd and 4th and 5th. They cover topics such as inventions, chemistry in our life. The level 2 covers grades 6, 7, and 8. They cover topics such as robotics, computer programming. Level 3 is the most diverse because it's typically offered in universities. It covers grade 9, 10th, and 11, such as electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, anatomy, and physiology, and so on. The total is 24 enrichment curricula. The type of enrichment programs are divided into 2. You could see them on the left. Non-residential programs, where the student commutes each day to the school or university and comes back. And the residential programs, where we require the student to live for the whole 3 weeks at one of our partner universities, typically in the student dorms, so that the student will have a full college experience. The program is divided into 3 parts. 50% goes to the scientific content, 25% goes to the 21st century skills development, and 25% social and physical activities. This is during the normal phase. Now, when we conducted the programs online last summer, we reduced the content, and it was 75% for scientific content and 25% for the 21st century skills and development. We haven't offered any social or physical activities during the online program, mainly due to the lack of preparing for such program. Now, Mawhibas' response to the pandemic and how it delivered its programs during COVID-19. So when school stopped 7 months ago, we and I believe all of the world were not sure how to deliver the programs that are 4 or 5 months from now. We set a date saying that unless it's really clear that things will go back to normal, we will be offering the classes online. And that's what happened. So we worked on that through a methodology of digital transformation, quality control, and development. It started by selecting the enrichment units suitable for online learning, among the ones that I just showed. We determined appropriate strategies for online activities and learning so that the trainers could use. We determined appropriate evaluation strategies to achieve the goals so that we will do our assessment. After that, we identified appropriate interactive resources to deepen students' understanding and increase enjoyment. We were keen that we're dealing with students of young age. I mean, the youngest, we're talking about 9 years old, so we had to keep them engaged. Then we selected the best trainers through accredited standards. Since we have been doing the programs for years and years, we were able to, through our database, to identify the trainers with the highest experience in delivering the same program in class and then select them. We also were sure to assign 2 supervisors for each enrichment unit so that they would help the instructors and be a point of contact between us, Mawhiba, and the trainers in matters related to the LMS tool or the strategies in teaching and learning, and also the scientific content. Then we trained the trainers on online instructional strategies so that they would be prepared. We actually, each trainer had a 13-hour training in order to participate. After that, we defined performance indicators and standards for quality control. And we reviewed resources, simulation programs, and videos. And we had a follow-up assessment and quality control. Among the e-learning strategies we trained the trainers on is the collaborative learning, where the instructor divides the students into smaller groups to discuss a certain issue. Flipped classroom, where we flip the classroom and have the students work on a certain assignment and then report during class. Inquiry, we also had programmed learning, where the instructor divides a certain learning object into several stages for that the student will learn. WebQuest, where the instructor sets a learning objective through resources and the projects. We were sure that the instructor will be able to use the assistive and supporting tools to ensure student interaction. Again, the instructor is not delivering the classes on site where he has a good interaction with the students. So we had to train the trainers on that. So it included interactive multimedia, simulation programs, survey and polling to keep the student engaged, virtual labs. There are multiple fascinating virtual labs. I'll talk about one of them, which is in electrical engineering, my field, since I'm an associate professor as well at King Saud University. In that virtual lab, you could set the circuit, have the battery connected to a switch, to a lamp, to a resistor. You could have capacitors and inductors, and then you could set the voltmeter or ammeter to measure the voltage or the current, and you could keep changing the battery level, for example, and seeing the measurements. Panel discussions and also short questions to keep students engaged. So in delivering our online enrichment program, we delivered it twice, executed it twice in summer 2020. It covers 3 weeks, to be specific, 60 training hours for the student, virtual attendance, of course. It was synchronous classes, included virtual labs, learning projects, and pre- and post-tests to measure the students' learning at the end of the class. 220 trainers participated. About 3,500 students participated. The class size was from 20 to 25. 20 for the elementary school students and 25 for the junior high and high school students. It covered 12 scientific enrichment curricula. One thing to note is that when we started, our plan was just to offer it once. We were under the assumption that later on things will go back to normal. During the first few days, all of the seats were filled. So we had to offer it the second time after Hajj for another 3 weeks. And it also was filled shortly. The seats got full shortly. Around 2/3 of the students were during the first period, around 1/3 of the students during the third period, the second period. Only about 15% of the second period students were students in the first period. All of the trainers in the second period participated in the training in the first period. The program assessment. So we had several questionnaires for students, parents, and trainers as well. So I'll be sharing some of it with you and the learned lessons. So the curve in front of you shows the average of student satisfaction. There's a small typo here. Level out of 5 in all enrichment units and all dimensions. Now the blue curve shows the results for the first period, and the red curve shows the results for the second period. What we can notice generally is there is an increase in the level of satisfaction between parents. Let's go through it one by one. So the first one is the registration and programs. This happened at the same time. The registration was open for both periods. This is not a teaching or a learning aspect of the program, so you could see that the grade was almost the same for both periods. The second one is the preparation day, which is the first half hour to prepare the students, or it actually precedes the start of the event to prepare students. We didn't score as we should. However, in the second period, we did a better job. And I believe this dimension could be easily raised through good preparation. Virtual environment, we had the same virtual environment in the first and second phase. However, in the second phase, we allowed using another virtual class solution, which offered much better quality for audio and video. The programs and its content, it was the same program, but you could see there is an increase in the level of satisfaction. We attribute this to the experience gained by the trainers in the first period. The highest aspect or the dimension that received high satisfaction level was the trainers, 4.42 in the first and 4.45 in the second period. We believe this is an indication of the good selection and training we had. So among the things that if any organization or entity would like to increase its satisfaction level is through training the trainers. The second slide shows the program assessment, the parent questionnaire. Again, it's out of 5. Now this shows the satisfaction level across the different school years. So we can see, again, the blue represents the first, the red represents the second period. You could see a clear improvement in the satisfaction level. For students from 3rd to 5th, which are the youngest students, received a level, satisfaction level less than 6th to 8th, and which is less than 9th to 11th. We would attribute this that older students are more accustomed and could easily use online strategies, online learning strategies on them, and they would be more satisfied. However, you could see the increase in the satisfaction level on the parents on their students' learning has increased heavily more in the 3rd and 5th and 6th and 8th. I would attribute this, again, it's not the same students, only 15% of them took the first. It's the trainer's experience in dealing with students with young age and how to keep them engaged, which was reflected on the parents' satisfaction. To give more summary of the assessment for both student questionnaire and parent questionnaire, the student questionnaire, there's an overall improvement on all assessments dimensions during the second period. Again, it's not because the students, only 15 of them were in the first period. Trainers' assessment received the highest score in both periods. We believe this is an indication of the good selection of the trainers and their good preparation. 13 hours of training were given for each one of them. The pre- and post-test results show average development growth for all units with a better improvement in the second period. This could be an indication that the first period experience reflected positively on the trainer's performance in the second period. The parents' questionnaire. Parent satisfaction about online learning significantly increased from 3.58 in the first period to 4.58. I remember when I saw the first result, 3.58 out of 5, I was telling myself, okay, then online learning will not be a good substitute for in-class learning. However, when I saw the second period assessment, and I noticed the big jump from 3.58 to 4.58, and that the students, only 15 of them were there, I knew that it was the trainers who passed the first experience. They went through the struggle at the beginning of using the online platform and the struggle of how to engage students, of how to teach students in this new environment, and they prevailed in the second period, both female and female instructors. Parent satisfaction regarding this item or this dimension, the contribution of other students to my kids' learning was relatively low, 3.8 in the first period and 3.94 in the second period. We would attribute that this is a hard setting. The students are not sitting with each other. So this requires developing methods for students' collaboration to enhance learning process. The question, though, is can this be as effective as in the class setting? Moving to the fourth outline, continued global excellence in preparing our students for the future. Mawhiba during this pandemic, or the Saudi students, won several prizes. This was done through the Mawhiba program for International Olympics. This is a program in several basic science fields: math, physics, chemistry, biology, informatics, and science. This is a joint effort between the Ministry of Education and Mawhiba. This table summarizes the prizes our students has obtained during the last months. You could see in several contests in math, physics, and chemistry. The medals contains honorable mentions, bronze medals, silver medals, and gold medals. A total of 47 was achieved. This is achieved through hard work for the students. The students who participate in that start with basic courses, and if they pass that, they go to the training camps, and several training camps, and after that, the intensive training. On average, a student before his or her first participation, they would receive 2,500 hours of training. You could see in this picture, His Excellency, the Minister of Industry and Mineral Resources, Mr. Bandar Al-Khraif, was visiting us at Mawhiba to encourage students. Also, regarding regarding preparing our students for the future, I'd like to introduce the Global Conference for Giftedness and Creativity organized by Mawhiba and the G20, which was going to be next month. These are the dates, 8th and 9th November. You're all invited to register through the link shown. It's going to be from 4 to 8 p.m., virtual attendance, both in Arabic and English. There will be several international keynote speakers, futuristics, people advocate of fostering gifted children. There will be 4 discussion sessions. It will also include an interactive virtual scientific exhibition. At the end, I would like to thank you all for your listening and wish you a safe journey and be safe during these difficult times. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Basil, and to the team in Riyadh for an excellent morning of content. We'll now have a short 5-minute break before our keynote session with Grant Lichtman, the Chief Provocateur of the Future of K-12 Education from the United States. Please now make your way into the next session.